One of the stories I've enjoyed covering the most over the last 2 or 3 years is Google Wing delivery drones. For those of you that are unaware, thousands, in fact, I think hundreds of thousands of drone deliveries are taking place in Logan, in southeast Queensland, which is, as Google Wing call it, the drone capital of the world, or the drone delivery capital of the world. And while you may have heard a lot about these apparent Amazon delivery drones, which I've never really actually happened, quietly Google have been doing it and doing it very, very well in Australia, absolutely pioneering. It started off with them having their own kind of distribution centres, and so the shops would sort of base themselves in these distribution centres, and then the drones would, deliver the kind of small goods to people's homes. They then expanded into working from shopping malls. So they basically take off from the roof of a shopping mall, and they are very close now to doing what they would call like point-to-point delivery. That is, any shop with some kind of garden or bit of concrete can have a drone come and pick goods up and send it to someone's house, which is a game-changing moment. Just for humanity, it's a massive, massive thing.
Well,
I think it's incredible.
I'll just stop you there because I'm just going to be a bit cheeky. And no offence to our Queensland listeners, but with the current youth crime crisis in Queensland, I'm not sure I'd want a drone randomly landing somewhere where some kid could run across and nick it and...
Well, I'll tell you what has happened in Logan. Not the kids, worse than the kids. What's the one thing more angry than Australian people? Australian birds. So angry. On a side note, same magpie swooped me 3 times when I went for a run a week ago. 3 times.
Yeah, I've never been swooped by a magpie.
They're awful. It happens all the time. And it went for me. This is a massive tangent. It went for me, and I was like flailing and screaming.
Adam,
and when it came
you
down,
need that bike helmet with the spiky thing.
And when I ran again, it came for me for a second time, and it went for the kill, and I was like to sort of duck, and then it came for me for but when it came from a third time, I'd stop running and turn round, and it just came straight towards me. It was terrifying, and I've been attacked multiple times by magpies.
You need the helmet with the cable ties, mate.
Just
I'll
sort of
buy
jump
you one
up
for Christmas.
See how you like it. Anyway, so the one of the drones was once attacked by the bird. They did a whole investigation on how you can stop this happening and adjust the routes and stuff. It's very rare.
Wow.
But even though the kids of southeast Queensland are not,
and no offence to our Queensland listeners, but I'm surprised one hasn't been nicked.
They probably are. They're probably just keeping it on the down low.
There you go.
Anyway, so it's incredibly exciting stuff. And if you're a premium content subscriber, we've written lots of features on them. So again, head to australianaviation.com.au. But we've had a couple of news stories, a couple of quite big developments from Google Wing this week. Jake, tell us a little bit more.
So this is within the span of a couple of days, though the decision had been sort of made earlier in the case of the first. The first thing that's happened is that Wing should not really Google Wing. It's owned by Alphabet, which is the parent company of Google. So it's it's under the same umbrella as Google, but it's not Google. So Wing has paused its consumer drone deliveries in Canberra. Basically, they've been moving away from this warehouse model where they would, deliver goods from the warehouse, and they've been trying to, partner more with shopping centres because they've got this partnership with DoorDash. So essentially, a worker, takes your Maccas up to the roof or wherever the drones are going from, and they hook it up to the drone on the roof of the shopping centre, and the drone flies off, as opposed to, delivering stuff from a warehouse. And they've paused these consumer drone deliveries in Canberra because they haven't got a shopping centre that's suitable to partner with them yet. They have said that Mitchell, the place where they've been operating out in Canberra, is I think near Gungahlin, and they've or in Gungahlin. I'm not familiar with ACT geography that much. Sorry to any of our ACT listeners. Sorry, Prime Minister. If you're listening, I'm not overly familiar with Canberra, but they've basically said that areas like Gungahlin and like Logan are more suitable for drone deliveries than packed CBDs, because it's more convenient to have something drone delivered than to wait 10-15 minutes in a car to go to the shops. So they've paused these drone deliveries, these consumer drone deliveries in Canberra. They will still be doing some non-consumer deliveries, and they still have a team based in Canberra. But the consumer deliveries have been stopped for now. But they've, a day after this story came out, we landed in our inbox. They're expanding their drone delivery services in Logan. They've found they're partnering with this shopping centre called Hyperdome, which, side note, doesn't really sound like a shopping centre, does it?
It does not.
It sounds like an arena for some kind of futuristic cyberpunk blood sport.
It's a very, very, very strange name for a shopping mall.
Our combatants are now entering the Hyperdome.
But it's home to such outrageous and unusual stores like Big W and Kmart. So I don't really think it earns the name the Hyperdome.
It's not even. I don't even think it's
I'm looking
a dome.
at it now. It's not even a dome.
It's not a dome. What are you doing, Hyperdome?
Just call it Westfield. It looks all quite nice inside, to be fair.
It's so not so much a Hyperdome as like regular rectangles. But they've partnered with the inaccurately named Hyperdome for a DoorDash drone delivery hub. So this service will be available going out to 17 nearby suburbs. I think 9 of these are suburbs that they have not covered before. And Logan City Council, they've basically saying, we are, at the forefront of innovation in terms of drones. This shopping centre serves a population of over 220,000. It will support, the drone service will support local business growth, increase accessibility. It is a fast, sustainable delivery method. So scaling things back in Canberra for now. I think the implication is that they're, still looking in Canberra for shopping centres to partner with. But in Logan, which is, where they've seen a fair bit of success, they're expanding to a new shopping centre site.
Do they charge a premium to drone deliver?
So at the moment, essentially, it's a kind of free service, or they're not passing the costs on, and that is because of essentially it's in the kind of a testing phase. Yep. But obviously, when they do move to a more commercial model, it's actually the price is like relatively cheap, because if you think of comparing it to your traditional Uber Eats delivery, you have to pay for the human being, you have to pay for the petrol, you have to pay for the car. Whereas actually with a drone, it's a lot quicker, so it's a lot cheaper. It's also a lot quicker as well.
Very true.
Because the genius is that if you get food delivered, 9 times out of 10 it turns up lukewarm and it turns up late. Whereas the drone obviously is flying point to point and it's flying very quickly.
It's flying at 110 kilometers an hour.
Exactly.
It does not stop for red lights. It does not sit in traffic. It's as the crow flies and attacks the drone.
This could kind of really change the face of like Uber and
I mean, they're finished.
Because,
they're in their traditional model, they are finished because why would you pay more to have a slower, colder delivery? And also, again, I don't want to say anything, it's going to completely get me sued. It's quite dangerous if you're on a bike, particularly if it's raining, which is when everyone orders takeaway.
Well, yeah.
It makes much more sense to have a drone.
Absolutely. And we all know that those delivery services add a massive surcharge to the cost of the menu or the food or the
if you order
anyway.
even if the delivery is free, if you order something from Macca's on Menulog or DoorDash or Uber Eats or something, they've put the prices have been increased of the items themselves.
Absolutely,
so you can't really escape it.
So this could absolutely revolutionize that space.
Couple of other things. So one of the interesting things is it will open up sales from shops that they wouldn't have otherwise. So let's just say you want to get some milk, but you think, it's not worth the drive today. But if you can get it in 2 or 3 minutes, you will buy it. So it's opening up new business. What it would also do long term, which I find fascinating, is it will make us more sustainable, because it will increase the idea of renting things. So say at the moment you want to do a bit of a DIY of the weekend.
Can't wait to rent some milk for the weekend.
No. We're thinking, right? Say you want to rent a saw or something. Say, I don't know, or something that you use, I don't know, like a carpet cleaning Hoover thing, right? That you maybe only use once or twice a year, but at the moment you go down and buy one. Yep. Whereas this thing, you rent it. The drone, dumps it at your home, picks it up the next day. That will change how we think about how we consume things. So the whole thing is revolutionary, and when you think about it, it's mind-boggling. In terms of what this could be worth to all countries, but particularly Australia, scale with a lot of regional towns. I mean, you think of the amount of money that the food delivery services makes. Well, that's what they're going to have, all of that.
Absolutely.
Plus all of these extra things.
And I'm asking questions here because I'm not a drone expert in any way, shape, or form. Would it be limited to where it can operate based on airspace?
So this is
airspace?
exactly. So at the moment they are operating in what I sort of call them like Goldilocks towns, right?
Yep.
So they're places that are big enough to warrant a drone delivery service, but they're not a massive city like a city as Sydney or Melbourne or Brisbane.
Jesse Suskin from Wing is saying, the profile of where we like to go is densely populated residential areas where people aren't necessarily within walking distance to the shops. This is where people have to sometimes sit in their car for 15 to 20 minutes before they get to the centre to run in for that quick item. He says, it's a great way to augment last mile delivery. There's a lot of last mile delivery growth in sprawling suburb areas.
What they won't, I don't want to sort of put words in the mouth, but they would never say publicly, but is clearly this case, is that they're trying it out in places where if something goes wrong, they're not necessarily got a lot of bad publicity. So even in Canberra, it's not near Parliament House. It's in the suburbs far away. In Logan, they can get away, but they can test things out. What they've not been able to do yet is move to a big major city in a big way, because obviously then you have airspace concerns.
Absolutely.
Now, they will say, probably quite correctly, the technology is there to have nullified 95% of these problems. The drones are incredibly intelligent. But nonetheless, you then have to work out, how do we manage the sky? How do we manage Sydney when you've got all of these things? It cannot all possibly be managed by
you can imagine a plane
controller.
flying in over Marrickville, how low they are, just about to land at Sydney Airport, and then having a drone delivery zooming by.
So one of the issues, obviously, is that you've got the technology now to do drone delivery. This should be in every major city in the world,
Absolutely.
but it's not. And it's not because the regulations and the policies haven't been able to keep up. And what it needs is for one country, maybe it's the FAA in the US, to say, we are going to make a stand. We are going to put in place the policies that the rest of the world can copy. But at the moment, that's what's holding back this revolution. It's like the drones themselves are good enough, but the human beings, those stupid people, can't keep up. So it's fascinating as to what's going to come next.
One of our fantastic people in the drone space, Jackie from Hover UAV, she's on quite a lot of safety boards. I'm sure she's right across this.
It will be very interesting to see how what comes next. But I do find it absolutely fascinating that Australia is quite genuinely the world leader in drone delivery.
Yeah, awesome.
Way ahead of the US.